Hi, everyone. So I'm going to record this session. So hopefully some of you guys are going to watch it later. This one is going to be about figuring out what causes or what is combustion. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about, though, if you're going to do any kind of an experiment, is a little bit of lab safety. So you're going to see here how I have a lab jacket on. If I'm going to do any sort of chemistry experiment, I like to wear a lab jacket because, I don't want to spill stuff on me. And also many lab coats are fire retardant. So if I should, get a little spark on me, I'm not going to go up in flames. Okay, also you notice that I have this scarf on. So it's not a good idea to do any sort of lab work with a scarf. So I'm going to go ahead and take that off. Make sure that you don't have any loose clothing, jewelry, or anything else that could dip into your fire. We're going to do fire today, or into your experiment. Also, if I had long hair, I would pull my long hair back because I don't want long hair dangling into my work area. One more thing to note is if you're going to do any sort of chemistry experiment, you want to have closed-toed shoes. So let's take a look at my shoes here. If you can see that, I have some, there they are. There are closed-toed shoes right there. Just in case I spill something on my feet. Okay, so let's get started with the experiment today. Let me go over real quick what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to share my screen. So this is session 2 for the science of fire. And let me see if I can get this. Okay, let's just look at this real quick. The science of fire. So this is session 2, and we're going to be talking about combustion today. I'm going to do 2 experiments. The first experiment is called Candle Under the Glass. I'll talk to you a little bit more about that as I do it. I don't have a metal cookie sheet. I'm actually going to be working on a metal table. I've got a couple of wax tea candles. I've got something to light them. I'm not using a drinking glass. I'm using a bucket of water, and I don't actually have a stopwatch. But you can do this. And I'll explain to you why we might want a stopwatch. I'm also going to do another experiment to just test what will burn. So types of fuel. So one of the things I'm going to have you guys research today is the word combustion and what it means. And so there's 2 things that are required for something to burn, and we're going to discover that it's oxygen and fuel. So we're going to be experimenting with the types of fuel. So here's what I want you to do for your assignment today. I want you to look up the word combustion. You can use different resources. Write a 2 to 3 paragraph report, or create a short video, or a piece of artwork, or do a play, and explain what combustion is, as if you were explaining to somebody, hey, this is combustion, and let me tell you what I know about combustion. And that will be due tomorrow by 11:59 Mountain Standard Time. Here's the rubric for grading. Again, to meet the requirements, you have to have some information about combustion in your report or in your script, your audio or video. And you can note the citations. Again, for creativity, it should be well enough written. It should have correct grammar and punctuation, and the narration of the video should be thought about before you start talking. To meet the requirements for the report on a timeliness scale, it just has to be due before the deadline. Okay, so let's just jump in and do this little experiment. So the first thing we're going to test, and I'm going to put this down. You can see I have my setup here. So I have a little candle. This is just a little tea candle. Let's see if I can, hope the lighting is good. I'm in the warehouse right now. You can see I'm actually using a metal table to do this experiment on. You don't want to use a table that's got cloth on it, just in case something pops off, a little piece of flame pops out and burns your tablecloth. So I've got a tea candle here. And I've actually got 3 different sizes of jars. And one of the things I want to say about doing any lab experiment is that scientists really are just playing. We're just playing. We're just like, we have an idea, we have a question, How can I show that oxygen is required for fire to burn? And then I got to thinking this morning when I was collecting my jars, could you could you determine the volume of oxygen that's in any given container by timing, how long it takes to burn? I'm just going to do this very qualitatively. I don't have a stopwatch, but I'm going to guess that this is going to burn the fastest. This will burn, have a little bit more time for burning, and then this will take a little bit longer for the candle to go out. And that just tells me that, this has small amount of oxygen in it. When I flip it over, it's only going to have so much. This will have more oxygen in it when I flip it over. And of course, this will have the most oxygen when I flip it over. So let's just go ahead and do that experiment. I'm going to light my tea candle. I have a little lighter here. So I'm going to light my tea candle. There we go. Let it get a nice little flame there. If you can see the flame. Can you see the flame? I think you can see the flame. Let me see if I can turn off the light. Maybe that will help. Okay, looks pretty fun. And do this in the dark so you can see the flame. It's burning. Right, and now I'm going to take my smallest jar. So I've got the small jar here, and I'm going to put it over the flame. And ta-da, the flame goes out. So let me flip those lights back on. So what I did, we can do it again in the light. You saw it in the dark. I'll light this candle. It's got a flame. I'm putting the jar on top, and within just a couple seconds, the flame goes out. So what's happening is the flame is burning oxygen, and the oxygen is getting removed, and that puts the flame out. So let's test the second one. In fact, one I'll use is my phone as a light. Let's light the candle again. And I'm gonna turn off the light. But I got my camera on, or my light on my camera on my phone. You can see, I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so there is the candle. I'm going to pick this second jar, which is the medium-sized jar, and I'm going to put it over the flame. And wait a minute. You can see it's starting to fade. And there it finally goes out. So let's do this again. So at this point, it's just a matter of playing, okay? I could get my stopwatch out if I wanted to, but you can tell there's a lot more oxygen in this jar because it's bigger volume. Just playing around with it. I'm gonna do it a second time. I like to repeat my experiments. I like to, if I was doing a timer, I might record 3 different attempts, 3 different tries. And there it goes. Okay, cool. All right, so let's do the big jar now. So this should have the most oxygen when I flip it over, and it will take the longest to put out the candle. So there we go with our candle. I'm going to take the jar. I'm going to flip it over, put it on top of the candle, and let's watch and see how long it takes for this candle to go out. And if you guys want to, you can play this recording again and actually measure how long it takes for the candle to go out with all 3 different jars. It'll give you an idea of the amount of oxygen that's in there. Nice. So let's do it one more time. So all we're doing in this experiment is letting the fire burn in this upside down container, which will consume all of the oxygen. And you can see as the oxygen is being consumed, the flame gets weaker and eventually the flame goes out altogether. Okay, so let me go turn the lights back on. Okay. All right, so that was pretty cool. So this experiment shows that oxygen is required for something to burn. So let's do another test. We're going to test fuel this time. So remember what I said, that in order for anything to burn, it has to have fuel. And so you can think about what is the fuel inside a candle when you think about when you're researching combustion. But let's do another little experiment where we look at different types of things that we might find in a forest. Okay, so I have some items here. I have some rocks, and I have some dry leaves. I have a couple of sticks, and I have some dried out what could become like a peat that would be sort of at the bottom of or in the forest, some leaves, some longer leaves, and then I have this piece of wood here that could be a tree standing up in the forest like that. Okay, so let's just see what will burn. I also have these rocks. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what we can burn. I'm going to relight my candle here, and I have this bit of water. So what I'm going to do, if I get something burning, I'm just going to drop it in that water to put it out. Okay, so let's see if we can get, this is a piece of paper. Sometimes, even though the forest has mostly natural things in it, occasionally people litter and there's trash. So let's see if we can burn this paper. You can see it burns pretty quickly. I didn't have to hold the flame to it very much. You can see I'm burning. This is a little piece of paper. I'm gonna blow it out, stick it in there. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and light the candle so I can hold some things over it instead of just using this lighter. So I have a type of leaf. It's dried out. I'm going to see how long it takes to get this leaf to catch on fire. Doesn't take very long at all. Kind of went out there. Maybe have to hold it over the flame a little longer. But you can see a dried leaf is pretty good fuel for fire. Doesn't like to, you can see it's a lot harder to keep burning than the paper, but it still burns, still works as fuel. I'm going to go ahead and dump it in my water here and put that out. Let's try a different kind of leaf. I'm just going to see how well this leaf burns. Again, this is a dried leaf that I just found in my yard. You can see this leaf burns pretty well, but it takes a bit more effort to get it to stay burning. It's like the other leaf, it doesn't really want to stay burning. It's not as good a fuel as the paper I burned in the beginning. What about this stuff? This is sort of this dried peat bark kind of mixture with grass. It's burning. It's wanting to burn. You can see you've got a little bit of smoke coming off there, but again, it's kind of thicker than the leaves. Takes a little bit more work to get it to burn. All right, let's try one of these rocks. I'm going to hold an edge of the rock over the flame. See if I can get it to ignite at all. What's your guess? You guys think I'll get this rock to burn? I'm getting it to be a little black. The edge has something on it that's charring maybe. But you can see a rock doesn't really burn, doesn't ignite, doesn't produce any sort of flame. Rocks are not fuel for fires. How about a stick? So this is a little bit bigger than the leaves I have. And see, I'm getting it to the little dried stick. It's starting to flame. It's holding the flame pretty well. Again, it would take maybe a little bit more to get it to stay burning. But not bad fuel for a fire. If you've ever played with fire or started a fire in a fireplace or outside in a campground, you can kind of tell the difference between, big things and small things. The bigger things burn longer, but it takes a lot longer to get them to ignite. So this stick is taking quite a bit longer to stay burning. It's hot. You can see it's hot, but it's not really staying burning. It's not producing the flame like the paper that we did in the beginning. And the same would be true if I'm not going to actually light this log because we don't really need to. But the point is that this log could be a tree, and the bark on the tree might ignite fairly quickly. And see, the bark is igniting, but it's not really staying lit, just like the stick didn't really stay lit. And then it would take a while for this whole log to ignite. So if you ever, with your parents, go outside and have a fire pit outside, or you go to a campground, notice the difference between small things that burn, like twigs and bark, and big things. So a lot of times when you're going to start a fire, you have to actually put a lot of paper in there, a lot of kindling in there to get the fire to start. So I'm going to put that out. So this little experiment was just really about the two things that are required for fire. One is oxygen and one is fuel. So what I want you to do in your assignment today is think about this little experiment and look up the word combustion using different sources, and just write 2 or 3 paragraphs on your definition of combustion as if you were going to explain it to somebody who had never heard that term before, or do a quick video and email it to me or text me. Okay, look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Thanks, bye.